Rabotai, we are continuing on Mesillat Yesharim, and we are at the end of Perek Gimel in Chelkei HaZehirut, the parts of the first midah that the Ramchal discusses, Zehirut, being alert and being careful. And Ramchal, in the last time we discussed, he said that people in the world, they could be going completely mindlessly, right? We mentioned how 95+%, and this is based on the basic research, and Google, you could even see this thing. 95+% of the decisions that people make is mindlessly. We live a very robotic life, a very routine life, as we would say it. Based on things that we do, we get up and we just are on autopilot the entire time until we get to the night and we sleep and we go. And this becomes the biggest blockage from a person living a meaningful life. By the way, I forgot to say that the learnings should be, has been sponsored by Shea Family for success and safety of all the Chayalei Israel soldiers, especially Eliasaf ben Shoshana, Ori ben Shoshana, Adriel Haim ben Rachel Michel, and for the safe return of all the hostages, Be'ezrat Hashem, and the Aliyat Neshama of all those fallen soldiers, especially Michael ben Meir, that his Neshama Shalom Aliyah. So, Ramchal mentioned that only a person that has mastered a certain trait could give advice to other people. You know, sometimes like you have a person that has gotten divorced 3 times and he's a marriage counselor. You look at their credentials, like, thank you so much, I'm going to go to the next person. Only a person that has really mastered something and they have succeeded and come out successful, those are the people who you want to listen to, how to run your life. Now, Chazal said, and he focused on the fact that the only way that you could do this is through what the Gemara says in Masechet Baba Batra, on page 78, to do cheshbon hanefesh, to do an accounting. Right? We spoke about how a person does accounting. You do it at the time that you're going through life. You think and try to weigh out, should I do this, should I not do this? Should I do this, should I not do this? And it's a hard thing because you make an average of 35,000 decisions a day. Right? Well, now many of them are mamash, simple things, but a lot of them are like deliberate things that should be deliberate, but we still don't make them deliberately necessarily. And the way you do it is, if you write 100 things that are important for you to do them a certain way during the day, 50 things, 100 things, whatever the number is, on a sheet, and you start checking it every night, to have a set time at 10 minutes before you go to sleep, 10 minutes before you come from office. When you have 10 minutes to yourself, uninterrupted, quiet, nice time, and you go through it, and you grade yourself. You either could give check or X, or you could give actual number, and you'll realize that day after day, you're failing on those things that you fail. And the only reason is not because you don't know it's the wrong thing to do, or you shouldn't be doing it, is because we are on autopilot. We live our lives on autopilot, right? Again, it goes with the 95+% of our decisions that we're making just like that. And if you're sincere and consistent about this cheshbon hanefesh, you sit every night and you do it, at some point you're going to feel embarrassed. You feel completely out of control. You're like, this is not, I'm so weak. And that's the moment that the person starts going up now and makes him much more mindful. So this is what we discussed before. Now he said that going through life mindlessly is like a person that is closing his eyes and walking on the edge of a cliff. What are the chances that he's going to just make it miraculously and not fall? What are the chances?
0.
Almost, for all practical purposes, it's going to be 0. It can't. And a person that's blind, or a person that decides to close their eyes and blindfold themselves, is the same thing. For all practical purposes, it doesn't make a difference if you're naturally blind or you just close your eyes and walk. It's going to be the same thing. If your eyes are closed, don't walk, right? If you're walking, don't close your eyes. And in life, you are walking, whether you like it or not. So you can't close your eyes. Hence, the Gemara that he brought, that the person should be yefashvesh b'ma'asav, yemashvesh. The Gemara says in Eruvin on page 13, a debate, a philosophical debate. Was it good for a person to be created? Was it not good for a person to be created? We discuss all the details of how is that even a question. Hashem, God decided to create us. But of course, we're talking about, percentage-wise, if you mess up this world, when you believe in a neshama and in mitzvot and averot, so then of course you would be better off not to come and mess it up more, right? And the chances of a person being frum, being religious, and do things right, run the numbers and you see what the chances are. The Gemara says, Nimru B'Gamra, after 2 years, they say, you know what, it would have been better not to. Because you're taking amazingly low chance, But now that you are here, Yefashvesh b'ma'asav, or Yemashvesh b'ma'asav, you should search in your deeds. You have to, if you want to win in this world, you have a lifetime. Lifetime, as we have mentioned so many times, is not a very, very long period of time. Because even though that 80 years sounds a lot, 100 years sounds a lot, but the truth is, think of something that happened 20 years ago, right? Think of something, we gave an example of the 9/11 for those who are old enough to remember it. I remember exactly where I was standing and how it happened. And yet that's 24, 23 years ago, right? That's pretty crazy that when you think about it, it's like, it was mamash like a year ago, it was like yesterday, right? Blink of an eye. Certainly if you think of something that happened 10 years ago and you think about it, that's like, it was yesterday. How many of those 10 years do you have? Until 20, you're not really mature yet. After 70, 80, the life quality is very low. Like you have pains and arthritis, and you can't see, and you can't smell, and you can't taste, and you can't this, and you can't that, and many other medical things and so on. The productivity of a life is diminished by a lot. So you have 6 of those 10 years, 6 blinks, right? So when you're there, you have to take advantage and be on top of it. It's like a business. What did I do today? Like the week passed. Like before you know it, there's another Erev Shabbat, right? Another Erev Shabbat, another month, another Rosh Chodesh, another Rosh Hashanah, right? So you have to check those productivities and don't just close the eyes and put it on autopilot, because autopilot is certainly not going to work. You don't become a better person on autopilot. You don't become a better husband. You don't become a better wife. You don't become a better son or better parent. If you have certain problems and you put yourself on autopilot, the problems just become worse. Guaranteed. They're not going to get better because we don't become better by ourselves. You have to work on them, right? So, hence he says like this, and this is on Otuvav in our prints. And this is what the Gemara says in Baba Metzia, in page 83, the Gemara darshins the pasuk Tashet Choshech Vayhi Laila, that when it becomes night, Ze ha'olam hazeh. Night is like olam hazeh. Shedome lelayla. It's like a night. It's like dark in this world. Ve'haven kama nifla ha'ma'amar ha'amiti hazeh. See how deep this is, because the darkness of night, there are 2 issues with it. A, of course, is that you don't see a whole lot of things that are there. But the equally, if not bigger problem is that sometimes you see something and you misinterpret it. You see a person you think is a pillar. You see a pillar you think is a person. You see good and you think is bad. You see bad and you think is good. Right? We have seen a fair share of that in the past 3 weeks, right? That people see that they mix good and evil, like literally evil, because they're not thinking. And literally, if you would put them through a 5 minute of checkpoints, they would not be able to answer it. There's no 2 ways about it. It's not just there's this school of thought, that school of thought. It's simply because they chose to close their eyes, and then you think that these are jokes. But then when you realize that 48% of the American society, in the youth and educated people, think like that, then you tremble within yourself. How in the world can a person not see a blatant lie versus a powerful, clear truth? right? But that's what we are able to do. You could see a pillar and think he's a person. You could see wickedness and be fed or think about it as a positive thing, and vice versa, right? Now this, by the way, now I'm giving examples of things that are very much alive for people, but this could be in the relationship of a husband and wife. Easily. Could be in a relationship of a father and a son, or two partners, or two community members, two figures in the community, right? This could be applicable to pretty much anything, right? We could see how a person could be completely like turning it around. Sometimes you could see good and think it's bad, or bad and think it's good. Adam ki'ilu hu amud. The same thing is with the physical reality of this world. Is like the darkness of night in the eyes of a person's neshama and your intellect. And he causes two negativities. A, he does not let you see the stumbling blocks of your life, right? You could go through life and not see that something is bad for you because you're not thinking. You're not thinking about, give an example of drinking, smoking, gambling, addiction to internet, addiction to, content that is not proper. And a person knows, if you ask them, if they think about it, they will know that's maybe not so good. But a whole lot of people, they could be addicted to their phones. 5 years ago, the average times that you looked at your phone for no reason in every given single day was 150 times. 150 times you looked at it. Imagine if you have, let's say, 8 hours, 10 hours of time that you're with. So that means 15 times an hour, right? You looked at it. 15 times an hour. 15 times an hour is how many minutes?
Once every 4 minutes.
Now, what does that tell you about the quality of your life within those 4 minutes? Because not just the moment that you look at it. It takes away from the qualities. The quality of your rest of your time is diminished by 50% also. Try the following. Put an alarm and snooze the alarm every 5 minutes when it rings. And go through 1 hour like that. And see what it does to you and to your productivity. Because imagine if you put a kettle on the fire, right? And do this at home. Put it for 2 minutes, take it off for 2 minutes. Put it back for 2 minutes, take it off for 2 minutes. Put it back for 2 minutes, take it off for 2 minutes. When does it boil? Never. Whereas if you would keep it for 5 minutes, it would boil. And you kept it for 15 minutes and it hasn't boiled. Because it takes away from the quality. And this is this is exactly what we do. We do it to our talking with our kids. How many parents have you seen? I would ask this question 10 years ago the other way around, but now it's unfortunately this way. How many parents do you know that then when they speak to their kids, they don't have a phone on them? That they're not interrupted by a phone? Or people who come to shul and without anyone putting a gun to their head, like some shuls would do, or mentioning it, like others would do, just go and block it off or leave it in the car. So I don't bring my phone to my relationship with Hashem. Or when they go to learning to shiur, they put their phone away. Right? That's strength. But not everyone has it. Even though that when you think about it, like, people think that if they lose their phone for one day, the world is going to literally collapse and it's going to become like a World War III or something. But then you lose your phone for one day, or it breaks, or your kid conveniently puts it in the toilet, and now you have to go change your phone. And there's a day that you don't do that. Or you put your phone at home by mistake, and you left it for 3 hours by mistake. It's there, and nothing happens. Right? So it's a mirage. It's like, it's not true, but it's in our minds, because we, again, don't think, and the world shows it to you as such a bad thing not to have your phone, whereas it is such a blessing not to have your phone. And there's no arguing with that, right? The benefits that we have, and by the way, the amount of hours that people are on their phone has doubled, right? We're watching things, seeing things, like, you could go through 2 hours. I don't have the numbers exactly, because I looked at a few of the things, the stats on this. It's pretty scary, all of them. You could watch like a minute, 2 minute clips on any of the given social medias, the Instagram or TikTok or YouTube even, and spend 2, 3, 4 hours without even like noticing. And that's life. You ask yourself at the end, what was added to my life right now? Right? One of the frum people.
Distraction.
Yeah, distraction. I'm saying, again, it's the time that you spend on it, but it is the time in between. Right? When you're looking at your phone every 4 minutes, that means your brain completely is fried. Even in those 4 minutes that you have in between looking at it. Right? One of the frum people in the Hasidic community who was addicted to internet, let's call it that, and went through a 12-step program, and he was anonymously interviewed on a radio talk show in New York, and they changed his voice, whatever it is for. He said the greatest thing that it damaged in his life is that his children will never forgive him for the fact that they grew up without a father figure. He was not there present for them. He was not there. Now, we're not talking about people that's extreme level, but even people who innocently is following Israel news and war and this and it takes away from their that's something that's bad that the world shows you as good. Is the choshech, the darkness of the world. And the darkness is not like someone with a claws. It's just a person that's not thinking, what is good for me? What is bad for me? What is the structure of my life? Am I going through life mindfully, deciding things that have to be prioritized in my life? Namely, my relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu first and foremost. That's the foremost relationship that a person has. Then, of course, with my wife, with my children, with my parents, it's like a healthy life. Taking care of my body. You know how many people, they know that they have medical conditions, but they just don't have the stamina to go through fixing it. We're talking about tens of thousands of people. They don't have they go for, New Year's resolution, January comes. I'm talking about Goyim together with Jews. That doesn't make a difference, really, right? They make the memberships of gyms and things shoot up. Like, you could see that the things of it, it's crazy. It goes up all the way. And you come back by March, even at the end of February, 85% of them out the window. Minimum 85% out the window. What happened? Choshech. Choshech just means you're going through life without thinking. It's not this it's not a movie that's dark and now they're, no, it's like going through life without thought process. It's choshech, it's darkness. Something that's bad, you'll deal with it as good. Right? It's funny actually. This the lingo and the slang in America is like when they want to say something was really good, they say that was bad. It's like olam hafuch, right? It's that is important because we miss the actual path in life just because of the fact that we're going through life not thinking. Going through life not thinking. If I would ask the following question, how many percent of the people do you think that every time that they want to look at their phone, they think before they look at their phone? At least 2 times a day. I'm not talking about the time that they get a call. How many percentage of that? 1%? You see how bad we are doing? We're doing very poorly, right? We go through life just like kacha. We go through life. I'm not sure if we go through life or life goes through us, basically. It's like just we are going through the motions, and that's exactly what he's saying. And says the Mesillat Yesharim, it's not only that, it's worse. A petty, a simple person that's not thinking, he's just going and not realizing that life decisions have consequences, right? Life decisions have far-reaching consequences. People who are successful, we all have classmates, right? We're all old enough over here that we remember our classmates from elementary school. Right, I do. And the few of them that I'm in touch with, so you see, this guy, we thought he's going to be amazing, he's a failure. Not married yet, not this, not that, second is addicted to this. The other one that we follow people, right? And their lives, both the successful ones and the not, is outcome of few big decisions that they made in life, few big turns that they made in their life. So they could have far-reaching consequences. We mentioned that the founding father of Walmart, like dying, being one of the 4 richest institutions in America, with $65 billion back then, which was a lot of money, even back then, because the last 3 words that he said, I could Google him. It says it in his thing. He says, I blew it. I blew it. Because he realized, yes, financially I'm successful, but I'm not taking any of that with me. Where's my relationship with my wife, my kids, my grandchildren? I blew it. I did not focus on those things that really mattered. Right? And this is exactly what it says. A person could just be going through life. And that's what it says. Derech Reshaim, the pasuk in Mishlei Shlomo Yisraeli says, Derech Reshaim ka'afela, lo yadu b'ma yikashelu. Reshaim, their path is like a dark path. They're not going to know when they stumble, because you don't see the stumbling blocks. Why don't you see it? Because you're not paying attention. You don't want to see them, necessarily. You don't want to see them, right? And that's what the pasuk says, also in Mishlei, Uchsil mitaber uboteach. A fool just passes through the path of life, and he's boteach. He's like, nothing's going to happen. Now imagine right now, we could relate to this, of people going to a city, to a path that they know there's going to be booby-trapped. It's going to be people coming out of the shadows and out of the ground and be waiting for them. So the way you go through that path is very different than if you would be just walking on a regular October 7th, not prepared for anything. The outcome of walking through a dangerous path without preparation would be catastrophic, right? Whereas when you go and you're ready for it, it's a very different ballgame. If a person looks at life as, it's not quite a battlefield in a way that's scary, but it's like, I'm making decisions that's going to change my life, right? Avraham Avinu, we had this in the Midrash in this week's parasha, this upcoming parasha. Avraham Avinu does a bunch of things for the guests. And the Midrash in Tanchuma says, every single thing that Avraham Avinu did, it unfolded that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did exactly the same things for his children. Yishanu tachat ha'etz, they got the mitzvah of sukkah, right? He said to Melech Sodom, Michut atzeroch na'al, we got the mitzvah of chut tzitzit and the straps of tefillin and chalitza. So every decision he made, like literally every decision he made, including when he davened for Yishmael. So, Hashem, when he said you're going to have a son from Sarah, I said, what's wrong with Ishmael? Ishmael lefanecha. Zohar HaKadosh says, oy va'avoy from those those words of tefillah that he uttered. Because he uttered those words of tefillah, Hashem said, Lishmael shematich, he's going to be a great nation, he's going to be strong, he's going to be this, he's going to be that. And Zohar says, up to today, we're still suffering from those words of Abraham. Because he uttered the tefillah. In minuscule, every decision that we make, it changes our reality of our life, both physically and also spiritually, right? Both physically. Imagine to yourselves the moments that has gone sour with your relationships with anybody, right? And when you think back, you say, I wish I didn't say that. I wish I would say this. I would wait a week before I reacted, or this, or that. Right? Those decisions form our life. Because the Reshaim, they don't think, they just go. And terem yed'u me'amichshol klal, they already, before they know it, they have already failed. And the second one, says the Yesharim, as we mentioned, the second one of seeing the pillar and thinking is a person or vice versa is even worse. והטעות השני הוא קשה מן הראשון, הוא שמטעה ראייתם עד שרואים הרע כאילו הוא ממש טוב. You see bad and you think it's ממש good, and vice versa. ומתוך כך, and because of that, מתחזקים ומחזיקים מעשיהם הרעים, they strengthen their wicked deeds. כי אין די שחסרה מהם ראיית האמת. It's bad enough that they don't know the truth to see the bad that's in front of them. אלא שנראה להם למצוא ראיות גדולות. They find reasons why this is the best thing in the world to do, right? וניסיונות מוכיחים לסברותיהם הרעות ולדעותיהם הכוזבות, right? This is the worst that humanity could see. When you have something negative and you look at it and you see this is a mitzvah, this is amazing, right? Again, we have seen a fair share of that in the past few weeks, of people who glorify the horrors of humanity and they look at them as a mitzvah. They look at bad and they say this is good. And you could present it like that. You use a few euphemisms, like it used to be, like in the 60s and 70s. The overwhelming vast majority of the United States and the Western world looked at abortion as murder. It was not a good thing. If you assisted in an abortion, it was a bad thing, right? Because you murdered a person. Let's call it a late-term abortion. Right, and now, all of a sudden, you have the movement of what we call euphemism of pro-choice, right? Pro-choice, and you now mention it as sort of rights of the woman, right? And what is the government doing in my uterus? And the euphemisms of that's, it's supposed to change the reality that you just killed we're not talking about like genetic deficiencies. We're not talking about those cases that are halakhically even questionable. When you have things that this human being is not going to be, it's going to die afterwards, it's not going to be viable. We're not talking about those. Like a healthy, good, you're just not feeling like it anymore, right? And want to terminate the thing. And nowadays, okay, as if now, like the murder becomes a mitzvah. Right? Because of choice, a pro-choice. It's my rights, And once you explain it like that, and people buy into it, it becomes like a whole movement all of a sudden. Now in America, those same numbers have been almost reversed, right? I'm not saying anything, this is not a topic that I'm discussing right now. I'm just showing you in one short generation, within 30 years, 40 years, something that was bad, now it's good. Right? Hitler Machshemo. He sold an ideology to people, and people thought they're doing a mitzvah by killing gypsies and sick people and black people and the Jews. That they're cleansing the world from the cancer. Right? And those who were with him, they really believed it. And they were sophisticated people. But that's how we are. We could look at something and be convinced that that thing is completely opposite of what it actually is. But those who have already gotten out of this, right? Those are the people who have already gotten out. They have defeated the Yetzer Hara. They see the world, seeing through all the distractions, seeing through all the glitz and glamour. Those are the ones that could actually direct a person. And he says, the Bachar says, you know what this is like? This is like a maze. You've seen this corn maze fields? It's massive, like a few acres of land. It's a massive corn bushes, and they have made a maze, a very sophisticated, complex maze. And you see the map of it in the beginning, and you're like, I'm never going to get out of this, right? It's not like one of those small ones for kiddie ones. Look at the big ones. They take you with a helicopter in the top, and you see this. You have to get either to the middle of something going on, or you have to get out of it. And no way that you're going to get out without direction. You could try to remember, even they show you the map, right? And with the map, maybe efshar ulai possible that you have a chance. And you have phones in the middle, you have flags, whatever it is that they direct you. The only person who could direct you is someone that has the map or has gone through it, figured it all out himself. So, okay, make a right there, stop, don't go there, go back, go turn left, go straight. The life of a person is complex. And wrong turns could take a person far from their destination in life. And if you don't have a proper GPS, right? And we mentioned this, like God's positioning system. You have to know where you're holding right now. You have to know where you're headed. You have to have a map in order to know what's the path, the shortest path, timely getting you there. And you have to keep a constant contact with that satellite connection to check yourself. Okay, I made it right turn, now it's this, now go a few feet and make another turn. That's the only, and Chazal are telling us the way that you could get to it is through doing cheshbon nefesh. He explains, you have this maze and you have Achsadra in the middle over there, and the pathways, they are very complex. Very complex. You're not going to get to, by natural statistics, it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, for you to get there. Timely, anyways. But says the Mesillat Yesharim, sometimes you see a beautiful path. It's well lit and it has signs, and you say, okay, this is it. This must be it. And you go there, and it's just it's a trick. They did it because they know when you see the light and the sign and this, you're gonna go there. But really, the one that's dark and small and dinky, that's the one that you really should be taking. Or if you have a map, you have to go in the back alley to get to the real road. But if you don't have it, if you're going between the pathways, there's no way that you're gonna see it. You have no clue. You'll be clueless if you're going on the right path or not. How would you know if you don't have a map? They just put you in the maze and you're going. You absolutely have no idea which path is the correct path. Your knowledge of whether or not you're in the right path would be zero. Right? And it says the Mesillat Yesharim, that's exactly the same thing. There's no difference between the different paths. They all look the same. Right? Unless you have been there, you've done it, and you know this one is a fake, that one is the right one. Like you know it like the back of your hand. You're a native, you know the thing, especially if you made it yourself, right? In our case, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has made it, and he says, "Okay, I'll tell you how to deal with this. This is how you're going to do it." Right? Right? That person could have a chance. He differentiates between the real ones and the fake ones. And he is the only one that could tell other people, says, guys, don't go there, come here. Like, or don't come here, go there. You have a choice. You could listen to this native guy. You could listen to the person that has been there. Or you could ignore him and say, I'll figure it out myself. If you listen to him, you'll get to where you need to get. But if you don't believe him, if you don't listen to him, and you want to just follow your eyes and your sixth sense and whatever you want to call it, almost for sure that you're going to get lost and you're not going to get there. Just like by the maze is like that, exactly why a person's life is the same. A person that has not defeated their Yetzer Hara yet, he's still in the pathways. There's no way that you're going to differentiate between them. Those who have defeated the Yetzer Hara, they've already gotten to the main place. They could tell you how to go about it. How to go? I'm gonna get this. Right? How to get there? And to them we have to trust. What's the etzah that they give? The etzah that they give, Chazal, is there's only one way. There is only, and this is what all this Mishalim, the whole 45 minutes that we have spoken, is culminated in this. There is only one way. And the way is Ba'u Hashbon. You have to take hold of your life. And that happens only when a person does Hashbon, when a person does accounting of their life. You pause. And I always say, this is the reason, but in Yiddishkeit we have so many new beginnings, right? By Goyim is Shana. Like it's a solar calendar. Shana means Lashano, to repeat. By us it's Chodesh, right? We count to the moon. Chodesh is from the language of Chadash, right? It's new, because there's the wax and wane of the moon, right? Every night is different. There's the times that is growing, and just when you think it's complete, then it starts the diminishing, and just when you think it's evaporating and it's gone, again, why? Because the concept that we have is that the life of a person is only successful when you constantly are beginning again. You check, you say, today I failed a little bit, right? Tomorrow is going to be a new beginning. I'm going to start tomorrow again, right? We have every Shabbat is a new creation. Okay? Every 7 days is a cycle. Then every month is a new one, right? Then every year is a new one. We have points of Cheshbon HaNefesh constantly. But says the Mesillat Yesharim, Kilalo Shel Davar. This is the fundamental piece, and we're finishing this now. Next week we're going to actually work on as like a workshop of now, how do you practically speaking become Zahir, right? But now we're explaining it. So says the Mesillat Yesharim, Kilalo Shel Davar. The last 5 lines of this whole thing You have to constantly be pondering in your mind. Tamid, bechol zeman. Every moment that you have, that you could think, you should be thinking about this. And certainly, ubizman kavua lo beit bolan. You have to have a set time every day also. So you certainly have to have a set, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you could afford. L'chatchila, it should be a time that nobody is there their mind is clear. For some people, if they wake up 4, 3:30, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock a.m., no one is awake, and could think then. Or if you go to sleep late, and that's going to be the time, then that. Or if you want to do it before you come from office, before you get busy with the kids and with the family, 10 minutes of kavua, and then whatever time you have during the day to have small thinkings about it. What is the real thing that the person should be doing? And afterwards you get to think, if they are on this in this way or not. This way a person could be easily cleansing himself from anything he doesn't want. Because a person is capable, when you're on high alert, you won't mess up. When you're awake and alert, when you doze off, that's the moment that he gets you. So if a person is on high alert, then that's all you need. And a person will be on high alert when he's constantly checking himself. וליישר כל דרכיו, כמו שהכתוב אומר, רק the pasuk says in Mishlei, פלס מעגל רגליך, check the pathway of your feet, וכל דרכיך ייכונו, and all of your pathways will be straight and flawless. So a person could get to the level of being flawless. ואומר, and it says in Echa, נחפשה דרכינו ונחקורה, it's a pasuk that we say in Elul a lot, נחפשה דרכינו ונחקורה ונשובה עד השם. And we search our pathways and we deliberate about our decisions, ונשובה עד השם. And you could get at Hashem, you could get mamash up to Hashem. A person could become almost flawless with just one simple thing. One simple thing. If a person, and this you could apply this to business, to diet, to everything. That a person has constant system of checking themselves against their actions, against their intellectual conviction. And through that, a person would be successful. This concludes our Perek Gimel, and next time we're going to be starting with Derech Kniat Zehirut, how practically a person is going to acquire Zehirut, Be'ezrat Hashem, in the Shiurim to come. Chazak u'Baruch.